So if you take this basic kite lifting structure where you have a standard lifter on each of these 3 points up high, able to weathercock itself and point straight into wind to get an average lift that's similar to that front leading line there, you run into the problem that at the back these lines become slightly loose. So what we really want is a function of these three lines at that point to steer the kite out to that side, a function of averaging on these three to steer that slightly out to that side, and at the back again you want to tension that back line slightly that way. So that's quite easily done with the standard lifters we've had so far, where you can set a bearing on there and with the ring around it influence what goes on in the kite above. So the average of that bearing is going to point out this side slightly, and we can cross-link the small wheel on there onto the bridling of that kite to steer it to be wanting to come out to the side, same as on this other tall side. Without that, what we get is the following simulation. So you see the lines are lifted up by the kites at the back, and the whole thing settles a wee bit as the tension comes to the front lines, and it ends up settling to about there. It's a rather rough sketch, but you'll see these back lines are quite loose and mainly just affected by the wind. Their position isn't tensioned at all. The triangulation at the top isn't really working on these ones, so we need a vector that pulls this further out to the side, that further out to the side, and this one slightly back, just to tension that up a wee bit. That way we can guarantee more the stability of not only this mid-collected component here, but further the stability and rigidity provided in these points here. Should any of the one single lines fail, any line in here, if we break that, if we have these slightly more out, then it's going to protect whatever the payload is at this point. Further to that, if we were to have from here, say these are set lengths, from here if we had a pulley working down through to adjust this length, work it on the ground, same on each one of the legs. So this for right leg, you'd have a pulley from the center point out along here, adjust that length from the ground, same here, out along the ground. Then you could set this position rather accurately. You could bring it slightly back upwind under here, lift your payload, set it, and pay out either these two lines to the downwind and these two to the upwind point, or all three to the upwind point, depending on how secure you want that to be, or all four. But you could in here stretch out generation equipment, you could stretch out antennas, whatever.